Cambridge Ace A-Level Mathematics, Probability and Statistics 1, Chapter 2, Exercise 2A, Question 8. Three classes of continuous data are given as 0, 4, 4, 10 and 10, 18. The frequency densities of the classes 0 to 4 and 10 to 18 in the ratio 4:3, and the total frequency of these two classes is 120. Find the least possible frequency of the model class given that the model class is 4 to 10. Now I am going to input this information into a table. Firstly, I have the class interval 0 to 4, 4 to 10 and 10 to 18. So I can calculate the class width 4 minus 0, which is 4, 10 minus 4, which is 6, 18 minus 10, which is 8. Given that the ratio of the frequency density in the class 0 to 4 and 10 to 18, which is 0 to 4 and 10 to 18, the ratio of the frequency density is 4:3. 4:3. Now we know that frequency density multiplied by its class width, we can get the frequency. So here you go. Frequency density multiplied by the class width. Frequency density multiplied by the class width. We can get this value 16, which is the frequency. As we know, frequency density multiplied by the class width of the first class interval, frequency density is 4, class width is 4, 4 times 4, which is 16. That is the frequency, as well as the frequency density of the last class interval, which is 10 to 18, is 3 multiplied by 8, that is the class width, you will get 24. Now, you know that 16 and 24 are not the actual frequencies, they are the ratios of the frequency, because even in the frequency density, you didn't take the actual frequency density because we don't know about it. What we know is only the ratios of the frequency density. What I did, I multiplied the frequency density by the class width and I worked out the frequency. Still, the frequency density is not the actual frequency density, it is the ratio. So that even the frequency is not the actual frequency, it is the ratio. Let's work out the 10 to 18 class interval again. So the frequency density ratio is 3 multiplied by the class width, which is 8. 8 times 3, it is 24. This 24 is the frequency ratio, not the actual frequency. In the sum it says the actual frequency is 120 for these two class intervals of 0 to 4 and 10 to 18. Now what we do, the actual frequency 120, let's share it in the ratio of 16 to 24, which is 16 out of 40, and the actual frequency is 48. So the actual frequency is 48. Similarly, 120 multiplied by 24 over 40 because this is the ratio of the frequencies. So the frequency of 120, which is given in the sum, is divided among first class interval and the last class interval as 48 and 72. So here the frequency of the first class interval, that is 0 to 4, it is 48. The frequency of the last class interval 10 to 18, that is 72. Now the question asks, find the least possible frequency of the model class given that the model class is 4 to 10. What do you mean by the word model class? That has the highest frequency density. It has the highest frequency density. For you to have the highest frequency density and they ask from you the least possible frequency, already 48 is one frequency, 72 is the other frequency, and the immediate next number, which is the least possible value, is 73. And 73 is the frequency of the class interval 4 to 6. Whereas for me to verify, I also calculated actual frequency densities. Actual frequency density is frequency divided by the class width. That is 48, the actual frequency divided by 4, that is 12. 73, the frequency divided by 6, that is 12.16. 72, the frequency divided by 8, that is 9. So out of the frequency densities, the model class, which is 4 to 10, contains the highest frequency density. So what we do here basically, we firstly work out the frequency ratio using the frequency density ratio. So frequency density ratio multiplied by the class width is the frequency ratio. Again the frequency density ratio, which is 3, multiplied by the class width, you will get the frequency ratio. This 16 and 24 are not the actual frequencies, but it is the ratio between the frequencies of the first and the third class interval. And they have given the total frequency of the first and the third class as 120, such that you are going to proportionate this 120 between the first class interval and the third class interval as 48 and 72. Why I picked 73 as the frequency for the class interval 4 to 10? Because it is the least possible frequency of the frequency distribution.